Hello, folks. In this video, I'm going to perform a review of Augusta Precious Metals. I will also show you a process for evaluating any gold IRA company that you're interested in. So let me share my screen here and we will jump right in. So again, we'll be looking at Augusta Precious Metals. These are the data points that I look at when I evaluate any gold IRA company. I've looked at a lot of gold IRA companies. Augusta is my favorite because of their commitment to customer education. The only downside with Augusta, if there is one, they do require a minimum investment of $50,000. And so for a number of investors, that's a high minimum. And so they're forced to look at other gold IRA companies for that one factor alone. Anyway, these are the factors that I look at when I'm evaluating, and we'll go through each of these factors in this video. We look at Augusta, years in business, it's 11. They were founded in 2012, and I'll show you where to find that information. So minimum investment, $50,000, BBB rating, A+, accredited with BBB since 2015. BBB customer rating, 4.96 out of 5 stars. And then we'll look at the website, both Augusta's website and BBB's website for these two factors. Let's look at how do we determine when a company was founded, since that's our starting point. The reason this is important, I think there are two primary reasons. One, I don't want to work with a fly-by-night company. You know, they start up and it's exciting. They look good as a brand new company. Maybe they've got some innovative feature, or they're just really good at marketing, but you know, they're gone a year later. 90+% of businesses fail within the first year. And so certainly when we're talking about retirement products, we want to work with companies that have been around a while, and it's reasonable to expect that they will stay around for a while to come. You know, you think about somebody at age 55, well, they're not going to retire for another 10 years. You know, it'd be nice that 10 years from now, when they're ready to retire, that the company that's managing their IRA is still around, still doing business. And so one of the ways we try to ensure that is by only working with companies who have already been around for 10 years or more. They've already demonstrated that they have longevity. And so with Augusta, they've been around for 11 years. So how do we determine how long a business has been around? Well, if we go to Augusta's website and then we look at, usually it's the contact us information. And that's what I've got here, contact us. Here's their primary address. Looks like they're based in Wyoming. And so if we go do this search in Google or whatever search engine you use, so business entity search and the state, Wyoming in this case, and then we'll always find something that looks like this. Basically, it's the Secretary of State in that state and a business entity search. And that gives us a tool where we can go search on the company's name. We'll find their record. And then if we open that record, we should see the details of their initial filing as a business. And so that's what we're looking at here. Augusta Precious Metals, that's their filing ID. We dig down, there was 2012. Another third-party source for that information is crunchbase.com. They gather information about businesses, and so we can go out, we search on Augusta Precious Metals. Here again, we find founded 2012. So confirmation 2012 in both places. If we had seen two different dates there, it might have been a red flag that we'd want to dig into, but that's not a concern here. So let's go back to the homepage of Augusta's website. Mark Levin is their spokesperson. All of the gold IRA companies seem to pick a spokesperson. I think they are hoping that you will identify with this individual and be more likely to invest with the company because you like this individual. I don't know who Mark Levin is. I had to look. But anyway, almost any Gold IRA company on their website, you will see that they have a spokesperson. And again, they're just hoping that you will be more likely to invest with them because of that individual. The next piece of information we want to look at is the minimum investment that a company requires. Now, typically, we can find this information on a frequently asked questions page. And so if we look at Augusta here, here's their facts page. If we go to that page, we'll find, are there minimum and maximum orders? And we can look at the answer to that. And we see 50,000 for non-IRA and 50,000 for IRA. And so again, with Augusta Precious Metals, they do have a minimum investment of $50,000. So the next piece of information we want to look at is the BBB rating for the company. If we go to the Better Business Bureau website, we can search on the company's name. We'll find their profile. And at the top of the profile, we'll find this block of information. It shows us the company's rating, A+ in this case for Augusta, the date that the company was accredited with the BBB, and the number of years in business. The next piece of information we're interested in is the BBB customer rating. And so let's go back. This is the BBB website again. So we can see that the customer rating is this. It's based on 119 customer reviews. And so we can follow this link. This shows us the actual reviews. By default, they're sorted by date. And we can see that in the case of Augusta Precious Metals, they're all 5 stars except a few. One of our options for sorting is by lowest rating, which we'll look at in a minute. If we go through here, I don't see any negative stuff with Augusta Precious Metals. What I do consistently see is words like this: never felt any pressure, very patient, answered all my questions, thoroughly covered everything. Anyway, a lot of positive reviews for Augusta. Here you can see that I just changed the sorting. And so now we're looking at the lowest rating. Looks like we've got 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we've got 5 ratings that are only 4 stars out of 5. Price is too steep based on the price of gold. Okay, well, we don't know what products they were looking at specifically. So this is not really an informative review. We can't really make a judgment based on this because we don't know what products they were talking about. And just for an example, let's go look at what we offer. If we look at common gold bullion, what the customer is saying, or potential customer is saying, is that relative to the spot price of gold, the price that Augusta was charging for one of their products was too high. But we don't know which product they're talking about. And premiums on gold and silver product vary considerably. So the premium on American Eagles, whether you're talking gold Eagles or silver Eagles, is considerably higher than the premiums on Gold Britannias or Canadian Maple Leafs. And so it may be that they were pricing American Eagles and didn't realize that industry-wide, the premiums charged for American Eagles are just silly. You know, a few months ago, the premium on these coins was 50% or more, even in some cases, whereas premium on a Gold Britannia was less than 10%. And so again, we can't read too much into this less than 5-star review because we don't know what product they were pricing. Let's see, this is not negative. This is 4 stars and doesn't say anything negative, nothing negative there. So even in the cases where Augusta customers or potential customers did not provide a 5-star review, they didn't really knock the company. They're not saying anything negative about Augusta. They just didn't give them 5 stars. They have been great, very informative. I like the conference call. I mean, it may be that this is just one of those people that they never give a 5-star. It doesn't matter what kind of service they receive. He may never give 5 stars to anybody. So let's keep going here. Our next data point to look at is a company's commitment to education. Now, for Augusta or any company, what we want to do is go look at their website. And there's several factors we want to look at to consider for commitment to education. It's basic information about gold IRAs, how much they cover current events and current news, and the tools that they provide on their website. And so let's poke around Augusta's website a little bit and see what we find. Let's start here. Basic information about gold IRAs. Well, this is what you will receive when you reach out and connect with Augusta the first time. They will send you an investor kit that will provide you detailed information about gold IRAs and how to invest in a gold IRA account. Now, on their website, they do provide quite a bit of information about investing and gold IRAs. For example, these 2 videos will teach you how to avoid gold IRA scams. These are common tactics that are used in the precious metals industry to take advantage of investors who are not very knowledgeable. And so well worth your time to watch both of these videos. And I would consider this as falling into this category. This is basic information about gold IRAs. Every gold IRA investor should watch these 2 videos before investing with any company. Doesn't matter which company it is. While we're talking about videos, I want to jump to their video library and talk about what they provide here, because we're talking about basic gold IRA information. So notice in their video library, that's where we're at. This is their video library, and you can find it in their menus, resources and tools, video library. So that's what we're looking at right now. Notice that we've got 2 tabs to choose from. I'm currently on the education tab. And so what is the debt ceiling? What is GDP? This is basic information for investors, and it's applicable not only to gold IRAs, but to the economy and investing in general. But here we go. What is a gold IRA, self-directed IRA? How do I get started? So lots of information. This is above and beyond. You won't find economic information at other gold IRA websites. People talking about the debt ceiling, GDP, etc. Again, one of the things, or the main thing that impresses me about Augusta is their commitment to customer education. While we're talking videos, these are videos about current events and current economic news. And so if we look here, inflation, quadruple threat in the economy, Fed's next move, what are they going to do with interest rates, consumer confidence, what's going on in the government, stagflation. They're committed to covering relevant news and events that affect us as investors. And notice the dates, October 14, 13, 11. They've produced videos regularly and provide them here on their website. This individual is Devlin Steele. He's full-time staff at Augusta. He's the head of the education department, and he's a Harvard-trained economist. He's the reason that Augusta is able to publish these high-quality and up-to-date videos. And again, of all of the gold IRA companies, Augusta is the only one I'm aware of who keeps a full-time economist on staff. So that's the videos. Let's take a look at their articles. They also produce articles that cover current events and what's currently going on in the economy. We just randomly look at one. They give you several formats. So you can read the article. Here's the article in text. Here's the article as a podcast. So if you want, you can download this article and listen to it in your car or while you're out jogging, walking, whatever. It's 10 minutes, 25 seconds. They give it to you as a resource that can be downloaded. And then here it is as a video. And so, again, 3 different formats for you to get this information. And then note that it's footnoted. Not only do we get 3 different formats where we can digest this information, they provide footnotes so we can go dig deeper if we choose to. This is high quality information that Augusta is providing for us here. Look at these footnotes. Everything I have seen from Augusta is high quality. I believe that comes because Devlin Steele is the head of their department, and I suspect that he basically does a quality check on all of the information that gets published on their website. So let's look at the tools that Augusta offers, and the primary one is this inflation and retirement calculator. And so let's spend a few minutes walking through this. There's multiple steps to it. I encourage you to come back and play with this calculator. I was dismayed the first time that I looked at this calculator and started seeing how inflation affects my ability to retire. So let's walk through this example. We're looking at step 1, cash and inflation. And so these numbers underlined in blue, these are where we can enter information, and Augusta has put in default values. So I've saved $1 million for retirement. At 5% inflation, what will my purchasing power be 5 years from today? And if we click view results, we get this nice table showing us that if we start today with $1 million, in only 5 years, that $1 million has lost 22% of its value due to inflation. We've still got $1 million in the bank, but its purchasing power is only $783,000 because of inflation. And let's acknowledge that inflation is far higher than 5% right now. This is my favorite source for a realistic look at inflation. This is John Williams, shadowstats.com. He tracks inflation using the same methodology that the BLS used in 1980 before they introduced all the adjustments and machinations that they use to make inflation look lower than it actually is. And so this blue line here, this is the 1980 inflation measurement. And notice that it's currently about 12%. Now, the current BLS inflation number is under 5%. I think it's at like 3.85 or something like that. Think back on the last year, purchasing gasoline, purchasing groceries, the cost of your health insurance. Do you think that inflation is less than 5%? Or is it more likely that 12% is realistic? Actually, I think it's higher than that, but based on the 1980 BLS methodology, inflation is at least 12%. So let's plug 12% into the calculator, and now we can look at the results again. And this is when I told you that I was dismayed the first time I looked at this calculator. Look at this. We start with $1 million today, and 5 years from now, the purchasing power of that $1 million has been cut almost in half simply because of inflation. That's scary stuff. So let's look at step 2 now. We're going to look at asset growth versus inflation. So in this step, I've saved $1 million for retirement. It's growing at a rate of 7.5% per year. At 12% inflation, what will my purchasing power be? We'll stick with that, growing at a rate of 7.5%. We can go view the results, and it shows us that our $1 million 5 years from now has grown to $1.4 million, but relative to inflation, we have still lost 19% of the purchasing power of our retirement funds. And where today can you safely invest and get a 7.5% return? In my opinion, that's not a realistic number. Now, what I would put in there, let's just call it 5%, because we can go buy 30-day or 90-day U.S. Treasury instruments that are paying 5% per year. in my opinion, this is a more realistic look at that $1 million. And so we're going to lose 28% of our retirement funds in just 5 years. Think about that, folks. That's just 5 years. And if you're 55 years old currently, you're not ready to retire 5 years from now, and you've lost almost a third of your retirement funds. Let's keep rolling. In step 3, we're looking at the cost of living increase. And so how will my annual expenditures of $100,000 increase? And so we're assuming that our current cost of living is $100,000 per year, and we'll just stick with that, and then we can go look at the results. So because of inflation at 12%, by 2028, 5 years from now, that $100,000 that it costs to live each year has grown to $176,000. So 5 years from now, 100K ain't going to cut it. You're going to need $176,000 per year to maintain the same lifestyle. And again, you may not want to play with this calculator because the effects of inflation are just mind-numbing. It's scary. The final step, retirement scenario. If I earned an annual income of 100K growing at a rate of 3%, will I be able to maintain my standard of living in the coming years? So this is assuming that this is your annual income and that income will increase by 3%. You'll get a 3% raise every year if you're a W-2 wage earner. And we can look at the results of that. We can see again, no, 5 years from now, you will have lost $74,000 per year, or another way of looking at it is you will need an additional $74,000 a year to maintain your current lifestyle. Now, you can pull that money out of savings, but as soon as you start burning down your retirement savings, well, now you don't have $1 million. You've got less than $1 million. And so all of these numbers change. So this is a powerful tool. It's a little bit disheartening to use, but I feel it's important for investors to spend some time with this tool so they can understand how inflation is ravaging their purchasing power. And going forward, when you're thinking about your retirement savings years down the road, it's really important to understand how inflation is going to affect those savings. There's one other thing that Augusta offers that the other Gold IRA companies don't offer, and that is a one-on-one teleconference. This is with Augusta's economic analyst, full-time on staff there, director of education. You can have a one-on-one teleconference with Devlin Steele and his team, where they will talk with you about your unique circumstances, tolerance for risk, your timeline for retirement, all of those kind of factors, and they will help you determine if a Gold IRA investment is appropriate for you personally. And so this is something you might be interested in. I believe that is everything on our evaluation. Something else to consider with customer reviews, there's a number of places we can find them. Trustpilot, Consumer Affairs, Reddit, Google. The reason I stick with BBB is because BBB attempts to determine if a review is legitimate or not. And they do that by reaching out to the customer providing the review. BBB only publishes about 62% of the reviews that they receive because the other 38% don't appear or can't be verified as being legitimate. And so one of the things to understand about the marketplace these days is basically everything is for sale. If you want someone to provide a testimonial for your product, there are places where you can buy those testimonials. Basically, they're paid actors, and they'll say anything you want them to say as long as you're paying. And so you have to be careful when it comes to reviews that you're actually getting legitimate information. I stick with BBB. I'm aware of these other sources. I don't look at them very often, One of the things to understand, if you go out to Google and look for reviews, you will definitely find them. And after you've read a few of them, you will realize, or let me just tell you if you don't realize, they are all published by affiliate marketers, and they're going to tell you what they think you want to hear. Basically, they're going to say, go team, for whatever company it is they're talking about, because they're going to get paid by that company if you do business with them. I'm telling you that Augusta is a great company, but I'm also explaining to you my process of how I determined that, which you're not likely to find if you just go out and do a Google search for reviews. Negative reviews, these aren't necessarily a bad thing. We didn't see an example of it, but when we do find a negative review on the BBB website, BBB gives the company an opportunity to respond to that customer. So one of the things we can determine about a company is how dedicated they are to their customers and their customer satisfaction. And so if we see a negative review, we also want to see that the company has made an attempt to resolve the customer's issue. And of course, with Augusta, we don't have any negative reviews. And so it's, we can't really apply that technique here. It's not relevant. This is just Augusta saying, hi, thanks, because again, we don't have any negative reviews to talk about. And so to summarize the pros, the positive things about Augusta Precious Metals: commitment to customer education. They have the strongest commitment to their customers that I have seen in any of the Gold IRA companies. And they demonstrate that commitment through their high quality articles and videos that are up to date. They're published regularly, frequently. The tools that they provide, this is an excellent tool, the inflation calculator, although it is a little bit disheartening to see how inflation is currently affecting our retirement savings. The only downside that I find with Augusta is that they have a high minimum threshold for investors, $50,000. But if you meet that threshold, I highly encourage you to reach out and connect with Augusta. As we saw in the customer reviews on BBB, Augusta will work with you. They'll be patient. They'll take as long as it takes for you to determine if a precious metals IRA is appropriate for you personally, given your circumstances and tolerance for risk. And so in the description below this video, you'll find a link to Augusta. Through that link, you'll be able to connect with a representative who will provide you with the investor kit. And again, that's the basic information about Gold IRAs, how to get started in an investment. And then you can go from there, dig deeper, schedule the one-on-one teleconference with Devlin and his team. That's all I've got for you in this video, folks. I hope I've provided value, and I wish you the best of luck in your search for the appropriate Gold IRA company.